Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Sew Fly Styles. My name is Sophia Abdusalam. In today's tutorial, I am going to be showing you guys how to sew this dress. So what I mean is that today's tutorial is going to be the concluding part of how to make this dress. So my previous video was on how to draft the pattern for this particular dress you're seeing on screen right now. So the focus of today's video will be on how to put the piece together to achieve this look. So if you are yet to see the pattern drafting tutorial, I'm going to put the link in the description box for you so that you can check it out, or you can just click the link that is showing up on the screen right now. So if this is something you would like to see, do well to stay with me till the end. And if this is your first time on my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Do well to like, share, and please subscribe. So without wasting much of our time, let's get started. So guys, I'm going to be starting this tutorial from where the other one ended, okay? And I'm going to be explaining a few things to you, especially regarding this hem extension. You know that when I calculated in the pattern drafting tutorial, I calculated that the highest I can do for my hem extension is 13 inches. And that 13 inches exclude my sewing allowance, okay? So now, the pattern you are looking at right now is the side front. So I need ½ inch to join the cup area, and I calculated 2 inches for the side front, okay? So 13 plus ½ inch plus 2 inches makes it a total of 15.5. So the total hem extension that will be on my fabric now is 15.5, and that 15.5 includes my sewing allowance. Now, how was I able to do the hem extension? The first thing I did was to calculate what I have on the pattern paper. On the pattern paper, I have 8 inches. So 13 minus 8 gave me 5 inches. So 5 divided by 2 gave me 2.5. So that 2.5, I went ahead and marked it on both sides of the paper. Okay, so that makes it my total of 13 inches, but I still need my sewing allowance to add. So after I marked 2.5 on both sides, I went ahead to mark 2 inches on the side front part and ½ inch to the cup area. I hope you understand what I did. Now, the same thing for the side back. So the first thing I did on the side back is I measure what I have on the pattern paper, okay? After that, then I minused from 13 inches. So 7 minus 13 gave me 6 inches. 6 divided by 2 gave me 3. So I marked 3 inches on both sides of the paper. Then after that, I went ahead to mark my ½ inch sewing allowance to join that part that looks like cup, and 2 inches to the part that goes to the side back. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So that is just basically it. That is why it looks like one side is more extended than the other. It is because one side has more sewing allowance than the other. So for the center back, I did 3/4 inch to join it together. I don't know, for some reason I decided not to do ½ inch to join it. And notice that I added ½ inch on the neckline, on the shoulder, the armhole area, and everything. Okay, so I measured what I have on the pattern paper, subtracted from 13 inches, mark it on both sides of the paper, divide by 2, mark it on both sides of the paper, and add my sewing allowance respectively. So for the center front, which is the part that carries the placket, that is buttonhole and button. So I have calculated that this center front is going to be one piece, okay? This is because I cannot add flare to the center front because of the button area. So I calculated it as one piece, and the total hem that I will have there is going to be 13 inches. So now looking at it now, it is on fold. So what that means is that because it is on fold, what I would have on the hem for this one is going to be 13 divided by 2, which is 6.5. Then I went ahead to add ½ inch, which I'm going to use to join the cup area. I hope you understand it. So that means I have a total of 7 inches at the hem of the center front because it is on fold. All right. Now, the next thing is the sewing allowance I added to the pattern. So the cup area, I added ½ inch sewing allowance. The armhole, the shoulder, the neckline, even I did ½ inch to fold the hem line. So hem line, shoulder, neckline and armhole area, I did half inch. It is only on the side that I did between 1.5 to 2 inches. Now, after you have done your hem extension, you have added your sewing allowance and everything, you need to connect the hem extension to the body of your pattern. So I connected it to the waist. What that means is that my flare started from the waistline. All right. So when you are doing your own, connect it to the waistline. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be explaining is the center front. The dress we are making is a shirt dress. There is a need for us to extend the center front by 1/2 inch. The essence of this is because by the time we button up our shirt, especially if you're a busty person, your shirt will not be opening up. Okay, so please extend the center front by 1/2 inch. I did it on my pattern paper as well, as you can see. So, and I cut out my pattern, especially the center front, after I had folded in my placket. If you would like to see a detailed tutorial on how to fold your placket and all of that, I'm going to put the link in the description box, the detailed tutorial on how to make a proper shirt, female shirt. So I explained a lot better on how to fold your buttonhole and button placket there. So I'm just going to put the link in the description box for you to check it out. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to pin the center front and side front together, center back and side back together. We have different panels. So I'm going to pin them together and take it to the machine to sew everything down neatly. So when I'm done sewing, I'm going to iron it out. Then I'll come back to show you guys what I have. Now, I'm done sewing everything together. I've gone ahead to sew down the princess seam, the center front to side front, the center back to side back, and everything. So what I'm just going to do now is I am going to go ahead to join the center back and use the facing to turn the neckline. Now, notice that I've gone ahead to cut the facing for the front and the back piece, and I put stay on the facings, okay? And I also put stay on the neckline for both the front and back, the main fabric. This is because my fabric is a little bit light, so I need something to stabilize the neck area, okay? But it is important for you to put stay on your facing. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and sew down the center back piece, and I'm going to sew down the center back piece on the facing as well. Then I'm going to use the facing to turn the neckline with my 1/2 inch sewing allowance. I'm not going to be showing you all the sewing because I feel like it is quite straightforward. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I have gone ahead to cut out facing for my center front as well. Now, let me explain to you how you are going to cut your facing. When you are cutting your facing is going to stop directly where your pattern stopped. That is on the 1/2 inch. Can you see where my facing stop? It stops at that 1/2 inch extension I did for the center front. That is exactly where your facing is going to stop for the center front. Now, I've gone ahead to cut material that I want to use for the strap. This is the initial fabric that I thought I would use, but after I finished sewing, I checked it out. I didn't like this fabric. I later changed it. But whatever fabric you decide to use for your strap, you can cut about 5.5 to 6 inches wide. Then the length should be about 30 to 50 inches long. 30 inches is actually small. You can do like 40 to 60, depending on how much fabric you have. So right now, I am done turning the neckline for the back. I've joined the center back together. I've turned the neckline and everything is looking pretty. I've gone ahead to sew down my strap as well and ironed it out. So now, let's work on something like one that can be a bit tricky, which is turning the neckline for the front. Now, the first thing we are going to do is I'm going to unfold my placket. Now, for my placket width, I did 1 inch. So that means my total placket is, the allowance I do for my placket is 2 inches, and I folded it 1 inch on top of each other like this. Please, again, you are going to see I will put the link for the detailed tutorial on how to make a female shirt, where I explained how to go about your plackets so that you can check it out. So now I opened up my plackets and I folded it right side facing each other. Okay, the 2 inches I did, I folded it to the back so that 1 inch is resting on 1 hinge. Then I'm going to use my facing. Now, just watch what I'm doing. I really don't know how to explain this part. So what I did is, now I folded my facing to the back. That is 1 inch resting on top of 1 inch. By the time you put the facing on top, the facing is going to sit directly where the placket you folded ends. Like, they will be kissing each other. So that is how it is supposed to be. So what I'm just going to do now is I'm going to use my pin to secure the facing to the main fabric. Now take it to the machine to sew it down. Now, in case you don't understand what I'm saying regarding the placket part, just watch what I'm doing here. You are still going to get it. So what I'm just doing here now is I'm sewing down. I've marked out my half-inch sewing allowance around the neckline, and I'm just going to sew along the line that I marked so that it will be easy for me to sew. So now I'm done sewing. The first thing I'm going to be doing is, you see this part, I'm going to notch it here. You see where the placket ends? Yes, I notched it. Then I'm going to trim off this half-inch down to the barest minimum like this. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to notch this curved neckline so that I'll be able to do an understitch on it. Please just watch what I'm doing. You are going to get it. So once I'm done notching it like this, I'm going to do an understitch, ensuring that this seam allowance is under the facing. Then I'm going to sew it down. Next thing I'm going to do now is to trim up part of this sewing allowance. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is because the sewing allowance was making the neckline a little bit bulky. You know, there's stay on the main fabric and there's stay on the facing, so it was making the fabric extra thick. So that is why I had to reduce the sewing allowance. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn to the right side of the placket like this. Okay, then I am going to arrange my facing. By the time you arrange it properly and you fold the placket this for the second time the way it should be, you will notice that the facing will be under the placket, and by the time you sew down the placket, it is going to hold your facing in place. But if you do that, it will make that area of the placket extra thick, thereby making it a little bit difficult when you are trying to fix your button and create your buttonhole. So to reduce the bulkiness, I went ahead to cut off part of the placket like this, the inner one. I went ahead to cut it off before I fold it on top of my facing. So this way, I've been able to reduce the bulkiness around that area. So just watch what I'm doing closely. You're going to understand it. So after I did that, I ironed everything. Then I took the placket to the machine to sew it down so that it doesn't keep opening up. I hope you understand. So I run a tight stitch all the way from the top down to the hair. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to join the pieces shoulder to shoulder. That is, I'm going to join the front shoulder to the back shoulder. All right. And I'm going to sew it down with my half-inch sewing allowance. So what I'm just doing now is I want to use my pin to secure it neatly so that when I'm sewing, it doesn't shift. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to attach my strap. The strap I had already prepared. I'll fix it to the body of the blouse, and I'm going to be doing that on the back piece. Okay, I'll just locate the notch on my waist. Then I'm going to place the strap on top of it like this. Note that I'm attaching this to the back pattern. All right, so you can attach it either to the front pattern or the back pattern. The most important thing is for you to have your strap fixed to the body of your dress. So right now I'm done sewing down everything that I need to sew. I've even sewn down the strap. So at this point, if you have your sleeve already cut out, you can go ahead and fix your sleeve to the armhole. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and join the side of my blouse first of my dress first before I fix the sleeve to it. So now, for the shaping of the dress, I won't be doing any measurement because it's a free dress. I'm just going to be sewing with exactly my sewing allowance. So if you did 2 inches sewing allowance to the side, or you did 1.5 inch sewing allowance, that is exactly what you should mark for joining the side together. So I think I did 1.5 inch sewing allowance for this dress. So that is what I am marking right now. So I marked that on the bust area and on the waist. Now, for me to now sew from the waist all the way to the hem, I didn't mark the sewing allowance I did. I just did 1/2 inch because I wanted that extra to add to the fullness of my flare. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So I had notched my hip line when I was cutting the fabric. So on the hip line, I just marked 1/2 inch. Then from there, I did 1/2 inch all the way to the hem of the dress. But from on the waist and on the bust, I mark my 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Then on the hip, I did 1/2 inch. So I now used my French cuff to use a slight cuff to connect from my waist to the hip. So I'm just using my biro or pen now to mark out the sewing allowance I am doing. Then I'll take it to the machine to sew everything down. But please, if you are working with the kind of fabric that I'm using, you want to make use of your pin, because this kind of fabric can misbehave a lot. They are really soft, and you understand what I'm saying. So right now, I'll just take this to the machine now. I will sew down the side before I fix the sleeve to the dress. So right now, I am done sewing the sides together and everything is almost ready. So what I'm just going to do now is I am going to go ahead and fix the sleeve. So I've gone ahead to cut out my sleeve. My sleeve is about 10 inches long. Because it's a short sleeve, I don't want it to be too long. That's why I maintain 10 inches. So what I'm going to do now, I'll fix the sleeve, I will turn the hem, and I will take this to the people that will help me do the buttonhole and fix the button. Alright, so I'll come back and show you what it looks like on me. So this is me wearing the dress itself. I've gone ahead to fix the buttons, the buttonhole, the sleeve is in place. I've turned the hem. I used bias to turn the hem, I think. So I've done everything, but this is everything. So thank you so much for watching my tutorials. If you have anything, any question or any concern, you can drop it for me in the comment section. I'm going to reply to you as soon as possible. So, and if this is your first time on my channel, thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Don't forget to like, share, and please subscribe. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you guys for your support. I appreciate you all. So until next time we meet again, stay fly, stay stylish. Bye bye.